When you think of rats and you think of your rattiest city, that's right, I said rattiest city, what city comes to mind for you? For me, it's New York, because I always think of those viral New York pizza videos, like with the rat carrying the pizza down the subway, or the rat. Mostly just, honestly, I usually feel like when I look at New York videos, I just see rats either crawling out from sewer, like out when people are out at night, or seeing them carry down a piece of New York style pizza down to the subway and just eat it or hide it or whatever they're going to do with that. As well as the one where people have been reposting the meme of the rat like literally dancing in the rain, like Drew Barrymore style, like just really feeling its oats in the rain and
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else.
that's what comes to mind when I think of rats and like the rattiest city. You would be surprised to know that the rattiest city is actually Chicago. So the Orkin Pest Control Company has actually named Chicago as its rattiest city in 2023, and it has held that record for I think the last 9 years. So that brings us to our topic of this video today. What does Chicago and the rat hole have in common? I'm sure some of you already know what this rat hole is, but for people who don't know, that's what we're going to get into today. Welcome to my channel. My name is Daryl. I am going to cover this topic today as well as other topics hopefully in the future that pertain to probably a little bit more serious things. I thought that starting my channel would be fun, just having a very unserious video just to kind of break the ice with my editing as well as getting a platform onto YouTube. And I think that would just kind of, you know, create an audience and kind of set the tone for the videos and the channel for my YouTube. So thank you for joining me today, and let's get into this video. So like I said, Chicago was named the rattiest city in 2023, holding that #1 spot 9 years before that. And so what really encompasses this is earlier this year in 2024, when I saw a TikTok of a woman making a visit to the rat hole. Now, like I said, this is what we're going to be talking about today in this video, but here's a picture of the rat hole. I don't know which side of me I'm going to put it on, but here's this picture of the rat hole. And when you look at this rat hole, what does it give to you? What is it giving? Because when I see, it looks like a rat, obviously, but notice the perfectly lined head, the tail, and you can see a little bit of like the fingers or the hands of the rat, and obviously like the big body of this rat. This is kind of looking like a big rat.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because,
in my opinion, like I don't know how big rats usually look, because I always mistook mice for rats when I was younger. I always thought a mouse was a rat, but then I learned how big rats actually can get. Those things are they can get a little big, so you know. This is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, like I said, this blew up earlier in 2024, January, and I came across this on my For You page on TikTok. I know that some people said that they also realized that this was a thing thanks to X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, but a viral tweet was made on X, and so that's how it garnered attention. But then after that, people had started making pilgrimages or visits. Pilgrimages.
This is so humiliating.
Visits, we'll say, to this rat hole. Now, this rat hole is based in the West Roscoe Village in Chicago. It's mostly like a Midwestern thing, I think, a Midwestern trend. I'm not sure. There probably have been people who have visited from LA or New York, and as well as other states to visit this rat hole. I'm going to go on a limb and say that mostly Midwesterners have been visiting this. So that's why I thought this would be kind of a fun topic to talk about today. So this rat hole has been visited by thousands of people after these viral tweets and viral TikToks, right? People are visiting this rat hole and leaving offerings to this possibly deceased rat. We don't know if it died in this cement or if it fell and then it got up. There's no fingers, no tracks. There's no tracks on the cement around the area. Either this rat fell into the cement and was peeled from the wet cement, or it was able to get out and then the tracks were just covered, as well as the rat hole was just left because that, now I'm thinking about it, if the tracks were covered,
then they just left the rat hole.
which is kind of iconic. Whoever was paving that, all the power to you. Like I was saying, this rat hole has been visited by many people, and people have been giving offerings to this rat. And I mean, in terms of offerings, I'm talking about alcohol, children's toys, cheese, wine, cigarettes, estradiol pills, also known as estrogen. So, like I said, it's been wine, alcohol, cigarettes, cheese, children's toys. Offerings have been made to this rat hole. And then as soon as those offerings are there, there's also a vigil that's held, a very public vigil in honor of this rat. And then back up, this vigil is really important. So
The shrine of the rat hole has gotten huge. There are pictures, hats, flowers, cheesehead just off camera. The only thing is the neighbors asked not to leave food. It's like a legit tourist destination. And I've been by a few times today, and there has consistently been a line down the block, as you can see. It's been like this all day.
I really love how this is all bringing the community together.
Cheers.
but the vigil has been visited by hundreds of people, so people are now setting up candles, and this is early January, so there's still some snow on the ground, and people are leaving candles as well as all of these offerings in terms of books, Ratatouille CDs, chef's hats. People are naming the village Splatitouille in regards to how this rat fell into this wet cement. Splatitouille. So now Chicago is connected to not only rats, but now the movie Ratatouille.
Les rêves des amoureux sont comme le bon.
Chicago, what does it not offer at this point? Chicago is just a vast wonderland. So the vigil is being held, it's being met with many visitors, many visitors. Now think of if you were someone who was living in the Roscoe neighborhood at that time, and you saw not only people bringing alcohol and cigarettes and children's toys to the common person that might look like litter, that might just look like litter and trash, especially surrounding just a rat that has been in your neighborhood for quite some time now at this point.
I don't know if people know who's picking it up, but it's the people who live here that are picking this up. Toss your coin in, take a pick. I don't care about that. Please stop leaving garbage for us to clean up every single day.
Would you be annoyed at that? Would you be annoyed is the question. Would you be annoyed if people started bringing not so much trash? We're going to remain respectful to this rat that has possibly deceased and call it offerings to your neighborhood, and also bringing more attention to this just, divot in the cement, essentially, that has formed a rat hole. Well, someone has clearly answered for you. Soon after people started coming to the rat hole more publicly and in more droves of crowds, one person noticed that the rat hole had been filled in with cement.
What were your feelings when you came to the rat hole and you saw it was filled in with concrete?
I just don't understand why everyone's trying to block our good time. Yeah. All I wanted to do was leave a cute little quarter in respect of the rat hole. And, you know, now we have to dig it out with the license plate. Like, that's not right.
And I'm going to pause here. So thinking back to that neighborhood, were you annoyed enough to have filled this rat hole with cement? Would you have gone that far to fill this rat hole with cement again in order to reduce the traffic to your neighborhood? Just sit on that for a little bit, because if you think that you would say no, I wouldn't do that, you might be wrong, because somebody else clearly was so upset about this that they were like, I'm going to take this matter into my own hands and fill this rat hole with wet cement once again. You would think that would stop people from coming to visit this rat hole. You would think that would be the end of it. Okay, the rat hole has just been a passing fad, just kind of like, people have visited, people have left offerings, and then it got filled. So, case closed, story done, videoed over. But that's not how Chicagoans roll. That's not how people in Chicago do things. After the rat hole gets filled with wet cement, people cleaned it up.
I love good news. Love good news. I just love good news.
I just got here today and found out somebody had filled the rat hole with plaster. Somebody cleaned it out, one of the neighbors, which was awesome. But yeah, don't fill in the rat hole.
They scraped it out with shovels, knives, and whatever they could get their hands on to get the cement out of there. Luckily for those pedestrians, it was early January. The cement probably was a little bit wet because of the melting snow, and so it didn't really have that much time to actually solidify. I'm thinking that's what happened. I'm not a scientist, so don't actually back me up on that. Maybe the cold air actually helps cement solidify more, but anyway, the pedestrians were able to get this rat hole cleaned up and emptied again to its former glory. So now it looks like this. Post cleanup looks like this. Once that happens, the offerings return and the vigils are held again. The Riot Fest Historical Society had named a plaque and put a plaque down for this rat hole. Not sure if it's still there, but they had named it the Chicago Rat Hole. People are calling for this rat hole to be a monument and are recognizing it as such already. I have the prime example of how people are wanting this rat hole to be a significant part of Chicago's tourism and bring more people to Chicago. Shortly after this rat hole gets cleaned up, on January 20th, the following day, a gay couple gets married at this rat hole.
We are gathered here today to marry man and man in front of the Honorable Chicago Rat Hole.
The gay couple appears on my TikTok page, married at this rat hole. They have balloons. They are in tuxes. This was planned. Is that not what the rat hole signifies at this point? It has brought Chicago people together in harmony. It has brought more people to visit Chicago in general. And so why not solidify the rat hole's place in Chicago's history by getting married there? The gay couple's names are Raj Sarathi and his partner Tyler, and they got married at this rat hole. After looking at venues in Chicago that didn't really suit their needs for what they wanted this special occasion to be, they were thinking about looking at venues in Chicago like the Bean or Willis Tower, for example. None of them really felt right for the couple. In an interview with People magazine, Raj talks about how he stumbled on this rat hole and how he decided on this.
My name is Raj. Yeah, I got married at the rat hole. So, we were definitely looking at quite a few large Chicago monuments. I know we were over at the Bean 9 days before our wedding, actually. We looked at each other in the eyes, and I looked at him and I said, what if we got married at the Rat Hole? I could tell by the look on his face that it was just a perfect meant to be thing.
They decided to make this wedding quick. There was still balloons and they were still ready to go in their tuxes, but the couple felt that they only wanted to be in the neighborhood really quickly just because they wanted to be respectful of that, and I think that's amazing.
We're not expecting the large crowd that was there when we arrived. There was maybe 50 people and they were all very supportive. We did this in a way where it wouldn't disturb the neighbors at all. We know people, live there, and we tried to make it so that we're very quiet and respectful to everyone.
They said that the ceremony was about 20 minutes. They didn't expect that many people to be there to celebrate their special day. People were visiting the Rat Hole just because this has been so viral in the past weeks that there probably hasn't been a day since it's gone viral there hasn't been visitors to that Rat Hole. They had people that celebrated their Rat Hole wedding with them, and they had this ceremony done in about 20 minutes, wrapped it up, moved the balloons out. And so Raj talks about how this was not necessarily planned to have that many people and to garner this much attention, but that is, of course, the internet. What's viral goes viral, and I think that's something to be celebrated. So congratulations to the happy couple. I love that you guys got married at the Rat Hole, and I wish you all the best in the future.
It was definitely a very Chicago, non-traditional wedding. I wouldn't, trade it back for the world. I think looking back, it's going to be always an iconic moment in my life. I think that the Chicago Rat Hole should become a Chicago monument, honestly. Like, hundreds, if not thousands of people have come to visit. I think they should protect that area, respect the neighbors, and maybe even build a statue off of it. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Rat died for our city, and I wanted to pay my tributes back.
Then after this happens, now we have the wedding. It's something that has really been solidified for this Rat Hole and has garnered more attention. I've seen some other videos of couples who are doing proposals at this Rat Hole or fake ones. Something that really caught my eye, I saw somebody making a mold of this Rat Hole with what I would believe would be like some sort of plaster or something that you could make a mold of, but can you tell I don't work with tools very often? Plaster-like substance, we'll say. I'm sure that's correct. And taking a mold of this Rat Hole so that they would have their own personal copy inside of their home. You would think after all of this time, the Rat Hole would have... Well, let me back that up. So after I saw that video, I looked to see if this rat did in fact have a name. I stumbled upon an article saying that the rat who had possibly died or walked away had been given a name, and his name is Chimley. Who? His or her name is Chimley, or they, it could be non-binary. So, Chimley is the rat's name, and I think Chimley will now go down in history as one of Chicago's most visited tourist spots, if not, the most by the end of 2024. So, congratulations to Chimley. I love that for you. And the Rat Hole has garnered so much attention that the neighbors in the neighborhood in Roscoe Village has some disappointing news to talk about in terms of Chimley. So a journalist had talked about... Why am I saying journalist? A journalist had reached out to one of the residents in the Roscoe Village to ask about this rat hole and to ask whether or not they liked the foot traffic that was happening in the area now, the attention that the rat hole was garnering, or whether or not they felt that this was a little bit annoying. But that resident had something different to talk about. They actually talked about how this rat hole had been there for about 20 to 30 years approximately, had gone unnoticed, and had not garnered this much attention until early 2024. So with that being said, they also talked about how they had some really sad news about Chimley and how Chimley may not be who we think that they are. Chimley is actually theorized to be a squirrel. People believe that Chimley is actually a squirrel that fell from a tree right above where the hole is now and left that imprint and was able to walk away without a problem. And if you think about it, that would make more sense, right? Rats are nocturnal animals. They don't usually come out during the day, and if they do, it's very rarely, and it's in extreme cases if they're hungry, thirsty, or if they need to move because of danger. But usually you won't see a rat during the day. You'll see them at night, you know, scavenging through dumpsters or trash or just singing in the rain.
Feel the rain on your skin.
So that makes sense because wet cement would not be put on the ground at night because that would be a hazard to the residents walking through the area or anybody walking the sidewalk at that time. Because if you're walking through wet cement, obviously you're going to have that stuck to your shoe. You're going to make a bigger imprint than just a rat-sized hole in the cement, which leads to bigger problems, of course. Then the resident goes on to say that the rat hole actually had a tree that was close to it on the sidewalk, which has now been removed and cut down. But that would make more sense in how the squirrel was actually able to fall from the tree or jump from the tree onto the wet cement, of course didn't know it was wet, and walk off. Do what you want with that information. You don't have to necessarily say that this is a squirrel. If you want to keep living your fantasy and believing that this is a rat, that's fine. If you think that this is all fallacy and is not the truth, and that would make sense for a squirrel, in its defense, well, it actually does look more like a rat than a squirrel. People are saying that the squirrel's tail matches up better to the hole versus a rat's tail. There's some weight in that theory, I believe. I think it would be a shame to admit that this hole is actually made because of a squirrel versus a rat, because it's gained its popularity because of the rat shape that it left. Like, this is the reason that it's gone so popular. I don't think it would have been as popular as if it was a squirrel hole. I think people would have just ignored it. But a rat hole, rats have weight on the internet. Squirrels don't have that weight on the internet. A rat has weight on the internet. There are many viral videos of rats, whether it's the rat dancing in the rain, the rat bringing down pizza down to the subway, dragging pizza off someone's brownstone stoop. Rats hold weight on the internet. Squirrels, not so much. Like, they're not that girl. Like, they're not that girl yet. But rats, they've been there.
You want pizza there? Who are you gonna call when games are there? Who you...
Mr. Bombastic. We want some bombastic, romantic, fantastic lover.
And also, I mean, you can't talk about the cultural impact that rats have had without recognizing Ratatouille. Ratatouille has solidified its place in Gen Z and millennials alike love Ratatouille. It's a great story, it's a great movie, and it's all centered around a blue rat who taught us to cook. Now, some of us still can't cook. Let's wake that up. Anybody can be placed in wet cement or fall into wet cement. Just think about that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to do more videos like this in the future, more fun ones about what's trending, what's not. But I also want to, like I said before, make this channel about stuff that is not always so super serious, but stuff that's a little bit more relatable. I like to bake, and I like to do other hobbies like tufting, rug tufting, or like reading too. I'm trying to get back into that. So maybe I'll make another book talk video, or I'll do a bake with me and talk with me about, you know, the existential crisis of being in your 20s. Who knows? You know, some really fun videos can come from this channel, and I really hope to continue that in the future. So thank you so much for your time, and rest in peace, Chimley.
In the arms of the angel.
Like, for real, rest in peace, Chimley. Hopefully he's alive somewhere. Hopefully he was able to get out of that unscathed without a problem, because could you imagine if he's actually just under there? Pour one out for Chimley, everybody. Go to the rat hole and pour one out. That's why there's so many videos of the rat hole also that are like disgusting. I'm sorry. They're disgusting. They're nasty. Why is it green? Why is it green? No one's talking about that. Like, I'm fine that people are visiting it, but people are pouring out alcohol for the rat hole and or other substances, and it looks gross. As a germaphobe, the coins and the alcohol like sitting on the side of it, the estrogen pills, that's all fine with me. But the wet like substance that is formed within the rat hole and the wet liquid that stays still in the rat hole, it kind of scares me a little bit. But rest in peace, Chimley.